Welcome back to another edition of We Are
We are
Sophie.
Sophie.
Aha! I'm your host, Danielle Marivet Hernandez, and this is my other co-host.
Melanie Hill.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Woo!
guys. Happy December. We made it.
We made it. It flew by.
Yes,
What?
and it flew by, and it's like I felt every month, every day, every month. Woo!
That's that's for sure. But even just thinking about season three dropping this year, somehow it feels like ages ago.
I know. Well, I mean, half a year, it's half a lifetime of 2024. Back in
Absolutely.
May. Back in my day. But back in May, yeah, season three was all the rage. We didn't know what was going to happen. We were all peak drama with the carriage scene and with Pitbull's Bridgerton rendition, which Swiffered the nation. Oh yes, which reminds me. I did bring this to show you because I shared with you last time. This was a Christmas present last year. It is the Signs. There it is. Oh, thank you, Julia Quinn. The
Thank you,
Signs
Julia.
Clue Bridgerton edition. But you need a group to play. Instead of someone getting murdered, you're gossiping about everyone. That's how you play Bridgerton Clue.
No way. I need to play that.
Yeah, I
That's
wonder if we could do it
wonderful.
virtually. There's got to be a way.
Yeah.
But we still need more than two people. We need like at least four for it to be good. I played with three
Yes,
minimum and it's
absolutely.
still like you got to get
Hmm.
juicier. Otherwise, we all know who's gossiping about who. There's only three people.
True. Definitely.
But Christmas does bring up the 1 year, well, actually 4 year anniversary of Bridgerton since
Anniversary.
season one. We got to recap.
If we have to recap, it dropped in a Christmas that it was hectic for all of us, right in the pandemic. And Bridgerton comes to our screens Christmas time. So, what was it for you? How was that?
It was my Christmas miracle. One, I knew Bridgerton was going to drop because I followed romance novels. My friends and I used to love to take romance novels and interpret it in a visual lens, like, that was the dream. And then Bridgerton went ahead and did that. They do the dream. So I knew it was going to drop, but it was so crisp, so clean. The lighting, the costuming, the drama, the romance, like they understood the assignment. Season one specifically understood the assignment. They were like, romance novel, I got this. Hold
We
my fan
got
and my lady
you.
whistle down.
Right? I was stunned. I already knew about the story as well. Obviously, know these books were amazing, but it came in such a special moment. And also something that surprised me so much back then, it was how people and women especially were saying how the women in Bridgerton, especially Daphne, in that moment is her season, they were like, she literally embodies what like the beautiful feminine energy is. Like everything is just so romantic. Everything is so strong and beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, yes. Like in my mind, I always seen their romance. I always thought of these ladies as like really strong, all in their own way, in their own books. But everything was put into the screen beautifully season one. I mean, those colors, those scenes, the chemistry,
I'm very
everything was
inspired here.
right. So the lilacs, the Bridgerton blue,
Mm.
and an extraordinary cast. I mean, it came in a beautiful time. It was like a hug to the soul at that moment, for sure.
Oh my goodness. I agree. And that moment was so important because we were all in lockdown. We were all like, I have no idea what's going on. There was no vaccine yet to be controversial about. The only controversy
Yeah.
was things were shut down. People were dying. It was a tough time. And then out of nowhere comes this beautiful, luscious romance novel. And in the Regency era, and I said this before and I will say it again, one thing that I think really makes it stick is that that was a period where there was no touching. And we in the pandemic were in a period of no touching. So, like, you had to have this restraint. There are all these gloves which are protecting your hands in a place where there isn't the same amount of hand washing. P.S. Thank you everyone for washing your hands. And if we still have to tell you to wash your hands, thanks for getting on board now. So help me. If we learned one thing, I hope it was that. But my point is, they didn't have our hand washing. They had gloves. They had Regency 6 feet apart. So it made a lot of sense that it took off in the perfect moment. And
Good.
now 4 years later, we have 3 seasons and a spin-off with Queen Charlotte, and we're awaiting season 4.5, I'm going to call it. Finally, Sophie Beck will make it on stage. I'm trying. I'm trying. I look forward to Yaren Hall's interpretation. And, we're just gonna keep talking up book Sophie because she's the one that we've gotten to know these last 20 years.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I think it's going to be wonderful. It's going to be great to see the different seasons as well that they're trying to bring for this new season. We're going to get a little more cozy, autumny vibes, and then we're going to see we have our time jump as set in the book. Hopefully we do. Because honestly, I'm really looking forward to that change in them and hopefully see more like the family dynamics. Like just that we were mentioning, like something that I'm really looking forward, it's like seeing Eloise's relationship with Sophie, because obviously we know how amazing her relationship is with Benedict. I mean, that sibling duo is probably my favorite. So, um,
Yes. Yes, I agree. They really built up the Eloise Benedict relationship beautifully. They're a lot of fun to read about together in the book, and they made it even better somehow on screen. And that's of course all thanks to Luke Thompson and
and
to Claudia
Claudia,
Jesse. They're brilliant and hilarious, and their
they're
chemistry
brilliant.
together bar none. So I'm really excited to watch how both of their relationships, like yes, Eloise and Sophie, but also Eloise watching what's happening between Benedict and Sophie. Oh my God, that's going to be a hoot. The question is, how long will she be in Scotland for, do you think? I mean, there is this time jump,
There- There's
which I
some time
expect they'll keep
jump.
in like one episode, honestly.
I mean, with everything going on, they must, or otherwise they're gonna have to give us more than 8 episodes because this is not going to work out.
Oh my
I
God,
mean,
but that would mean they were like condensing like 4 and 5. Because then you would have to imagine they're going to shoehorn in Eloise and Sir Philip, which is, oh, I mean, I guess spoiler alert, but is it really? It's been 4 years, people.
spoiler.
I'm sure you've researched Bridgerton at this
I'm
point.
sure they know by now.
Hope
We're
so.
waiting for that to happen. I'm sure we're gonna see something happening right now. Like I feel Eloise is gonna get her own little spotlight through the season, probably starting some letter exchange here and there.
We get
Maybe
it
we'll,
started. We get it started this season. All right, let's see. We should
we'll
start
see.
a game, like a little scavenger hunt of what we expect will happen in this upcoming season of Bridgerton as we
Absolutely.
speculate and
And even the own Beck family, right? So we have an amazing cast for that. And in a recent interview, they were talking about how we're gonna understand more of Araminta's depth, where she's coming from. So
mm,
I'm very interested in that because that's gonna give us more story to look into. So we'll see if, how all the story is gonna work out on this season. Because we do know that one of the things that was raising some voices in season 3 was that there were so many plot lines happening that Pauline did not get the time that everyone was expecting.
right.
So
Expecting and deserves. That's our primary couple. Where's
it
their juicy romance? I mean, we got some. We wanted more. And we got great moments. I mean, Volley, release the bugs. It's iconic. It's hilarious.
is
Oh my
iconic.
God.
I
Insert
mean,
himself. Insert himself where?
yeah,
We just taught a generation of women in 2 lines. Like, they were
I
great
love it.
moments.
I mean, the Featheringtons took this season for sure. And
Yeah,
I'm glad they did. I'm not sure how much we're gonna see of them in the next
I
seasons, but
know. They're basically done. But they all got their happy endings. They all
they did.
found their ways to have different relationships, which I think is also important, is that not all relationships look the same. And so we get to see
Exactly.
that, especially with Prudence. Like she did not like her husband at the start, but towards the end, like they had a real connection. They were discovering each other together. It was beautiful. I was really happy
Beautiful.
for them.
Yeah. And I love that because I feel Portia had a very strict view on how marriage was because she was so miserable. And I mean, obviously, Penelope was the total opposite, seeing all this romance and being in love with Colin for all these ages. And then we
Mm.
have the in between Prudence and Philippa being like, well, what exactly are we going to go? How exactly this marriage can look? So we had very strong three different versions on how love can look. And I appreciate all three of them. They're different, funny, their own way, and they'll kind of work. I mean, they do get all their little happy endings.
Yeah. And they all like got to enter the Featherington race, so they all have their own heirs, which was very important at the time. And I mean, children are always important. Who am I kidding? But like they fulfilled the duty. We got to see
Mm.
all their different husbands. And I mean, honestly, they wrote out Felicity, so I don't expect we're gonna get any type of Felicity story for Hyacinth. I'll miss her buddy, but maybe she'll show up in another way. Outside of outside of Penelope, we really won't see much of the Featheringtons unless they shoehorn them in or have like giant family occasion. Then I can imagine it. But yes,
Yeah,
with
like here and there.
Portia, you really got the contract side of marriage. And then with Penelope, you got to see like the supreme rosy romance, like the ultimate
Romance.
fantasy. Like, yes, she really was in love with him for years. In the book, she was 16 when she met him, and they were 20, she was 28 when the events of her novel come through. So that is what, 12 years of loving someone on the
Someone.
sidelines.
Yeah.
She
Uh,
rolled over into another decade there, you know?
she did.
But it
She
worked out for her.
persisted. Work out for her.
Yes.
And
And so
that's
now we're
wonderful.
coming back to Sophie. We're coming back to the Goon family. And they're really great at humanizing their villains. Look what they did for Cressida. And we anticipate that we're gonna see Cressida over at Sophie's
And I feel she's gonna make some good
we
move.
we like she practically falls into the Rosamund shoes, except there was a Rosamund cast. So we know that she
It
won't
is. She
be
won't.
Rosamund.
Absolutely. I don't think
I
so.
think
I
that is
don't
the
think
more interesting thing that they didn't make her the Rosamund character.
because we were all kind of expecting that.
Yeah.
I don't feel Cressida being a major character in the actual Benoffee plotline. Like maybe here and there she may, or maybe it's where she comes through because she sees Rosamund acting a certain way. She was like, oh, I've been there. Not really nice. This is where I redeem myself, kind of, but I don't know.
They have
No.
been speculating. I mean, Cressida's actress, oh no, I'm blanking on her name, and she's so gorgeous and wonderful. But that she came out during this season and during this time, and so people were speculating, oh, Cressida and Eloise, is something going to happen? Except Eloise has her book counterpart who is a man, and they've already gender bent Michaela, so I don't see
I
them
don't
doing
think
it
that's
again.
happening too. Yeah.
But now I'm like, what if Rosamund and Cressida become a thing? That's right. Now I'm speculating
But
my
let's
queer couples off camera. I'm gonna have a whole like gaming
Yeah,
of who
like,
can get with who.
right? Detective
Join
mode
me, my
on.
brethren.
I mean,
Yes.
it's fun. We have so much time in between seasons. The
We
brain
have
gotta do
like
its thing.
we have like 2 years.
Do. But time flies by so much that I kind of start understanding. I mean, shooting is still happening. We're gonna see many things to come.
Well, there's more
And
adverts coming out recently, or at least they have some like behind the scenes stuff coming, so I anticipate a drop is coming. It's almost Christmas,
it's
so
almost Christmas. They do like to make the drops a little Christmas drop, so let's see
Christmas
next
'tis the season.
week.
It's what started it all.
He
Christmas
did.
magic for romance. No pressure, but also Bridgerton.
No pressure, but we're expecting our Christmas present. Thank you so much, Shonda and, and Netflix. Definitely.
Yes, make it happen. Give us a teaser. Give us something. You like came out of nowhere in September. You were like, by the way, look who's here. Doesn't look Bridgerton-y at all. It's happening now. Okay.
It's happening. Bye.
And then they just
We're
went radio
and
silent. I'm
now.
gonna need, please.
I mean, Jaren did confirm, just like I'm sorry, I blacked out on Luke for a second. I was gonna call him Louis. No, Luke.
His doppelganger, Louis Thompson.
Yeah. Sorry, look. They both have kind of confirmed that we are getting the lake scene, and
Oh,
that's our
yes.
personal favorite.
Oh,
So
right. Well, listen, they had to include the lake scene. It's the most important one. And the lake scene is one of the first scenes that I used in my promotional materials when I was pitching myself to some of the directors, where I went out into the woods, I set up a camera, I had dressed up a little bit, and I was just like spying upon my an imaginary Benedict in the lake. So excited for that
so
scene.
excited.
But we talked about this. You also used
I
that as promotional
did. I
materials,
did
didn't
use
you?
it as my favorite. It was
Yes.
the first thing I ever shoot because I did took my time of getting pretty much most of the key things from the book and creating the scenes. But this one was the first one. God, how much it was like a life-changing scene. Like, not to
I
be dramatic,
mean, I mean, a
you
lot of
know?
important things happen after that lake scene.
First, it
It
does.
promotes
So
everything, basically. I mean, you get naked in the woods, people are gonna come upon you. That's a risk you are taking,
you
Benedict.
are taking a risk.
That's right.
I
I'm
mean,
turning that narrative on Benedict. I'm like, well,
well, honey, why are
what did you
you
expect with the way you were undressed?
in the state of the undress? Like how I love how they say Tilly says that in season three. I cracked. He was sick in bed.
Well,
Why
no,
are
he
you
was not
going
sick
out
anymore. He
getting
was feeling
naked?
better. He had to get out of bed because Sophie reached for a cookie that happened to be on a tray in his lap, and he was like, "Oh, I got a hard on." And so he was like, "I gotta get out of here."
I need to cool down.
And instead, she stumbles upon him nudely swimming in the pond, and she's like,
And
"Well,
it
I'm
gets even
definitely gonna
worse.
watch this because she's not a dummy. Come on, you stumble across a naked Benedict in the woods at a safe distance. You sit back quietly and watch." Her problem was that she didn't do it quietly, and she got caught.
Yeah.
But that
She
also
missed
worked
the
out for her.
quietly part. Yeah.
Like it works out for
Yeah.
her 50-50. They still got into that huge argument, which then
Oh,
spawns the rest of the novel.
it
What a
does.
time. See, they have to keep the lake scene.
Yes, they
It's
have to.
literally the pivotal turning moment outside of them meeting.
No, yeah, I absolutely feel that is, but because that's just them. I
Mm.
feel like first time where they both consciously vulnerable and they're both consciously starting to make decisions on their own,
And they're both confronting how they feel about each other, to each other,
to each
to each
other
other's faces, with each other's
with
faces.
each
It's a
other
great scene.
faces. And in a beautiful state of being like, I literally just saw you, how you were came to this world, and now you're incredibly close to me, telling me all of these things, and things are happening. So, I
Things are
mean,
happening. It's gonna be a great scene.
like, I'm just like picturing it, and I'm again like, wow, okay.
Ah, men, take notes. This is all it takes.
This is
On
all
the
it
other hand,
takes,
no.
guys.
Don't take too many notes. I'm not suggesting that men go around swimming nudely in lakes. Don't do that. Unless you own the lake. Then I think you get that loophole. That was the difference, right? It was on his
That's
private
really cool.
property. That was basically his swimming pool. If you have a swimming pool, you're allowed to do. But be mindful about it. Okay, you know what? Let's get off this topic onto another one.
Let's go. Let's move on. Let's dive into something else.
Diving into something else.
Which could very well be how we do see, going back to our Christmassy feels, how we get a little bit of that on Queen Charlotte. I really appreciate having that
Yeah.
little. uh, we get to see our queen, we get to see Lady Danbury and Violet on that season, and how that's something we never see. We always see them happy and doing their thing, and that time around, we got to see them really mourn and see how that special times in their lives come with all of these other little heavy little things.
Yeah, I also really appreciated that we got to see the off season. So we got to see some winter wardrobe, which is not something we ever get to see because it's always the season is always spring
Season,
into summer. Oh,
spring, it's always blooming. Yeah,
yes, it's always
mating
going to be
time.
spring. That's the season. It's nature, people. Come on. Look at the birds and the bees. But that was a really beautiful piece of history that they added to Queen Charlotte because she did, in fact, bring over this Christmas tree tradition from Germany, you
Absolutely.
know. Ah, man. Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree. Tannenbaum, there it
Oh,
is.
Tannenbaum.
Oh,
I was gonna say,
Tannenbaum,
oh,
oh,
Tannenbaum.
Tannenbaum. There it is. And so we get to
Yeah,
see that. We get to see them. And perhaps we will get to see the off season in Sophie's
I
season
feel you will.
because while they do meet during the season, all of this interlude stuff I think is happening just preliminary to the season starting again a couple of years later. So I don't
Yeah.
know. We shall see. We shall see.
We will, because I feel it's very intriguing on how they're going to put that. And she does change her appearance, So what are we going to do about that? Jaren does have a shorter hair, so maybe we're going to get like a wig at first, and then we're going to get her short hair. I don't
Right,
know.
because I mean that's basic. She chops off all her hair.
Mm-hmm.
Also, she's out of the protection of the home, so she's starving out on the streets. So she's lost all of this weight,
Yes.
wasting away, as opposed to the lush, curvy woman
The,
he met once upon a time.
yeah.
His words, not mine. Actually, Julia Quinn's words. And then on top of all of that, he had only ever seen her dressed up and in a mask. He had never seen her out and about. So he's not looking for her in a servant, let alone looking for her at all, because it's 2 years later. But he still feels the same. Like he's like, how strange. The only time I ever felt this way, so drawn to someone, was the Lady
Uh,
in Silver. The two and two is not, they're not
oh
connected.
yeah, no, my boy ain't connecting
He needs
anything
to
for
just see her chin and then be like, oh my God. It's
yeah,
all
I mean
making sense now. I just
he's
need
gonna
to
be like,
plug this out.
oh, it was you.
Oh, really? Benedict, you're an artist?
That was all
Really?
it took.
Oh, I really look forward to it. It's going to be so good. Plus, I need to add to
It
my
will.
Cinderella collection. The Cinderella Circle continues, Bridgerton
Oh,
style.
Bridgerton style. I love that, I mean, Cinderella is such a classic, but she can resonate in so many ways in so many stories. I mean, we all know it, tale as old as time, even though that's not a phrase for Cinderella. But the way you can include that plot line in any generation, in any romance, in anything without trying hard even, I mean, it's impressive. It's something
It's
that
such a trope, you know? Someone overworked, underappreciated, gets out on the town, lines up with someone, like it's about finding our value, finding our people, lining up with them. And reclaiming our worth because it's also about leaving abuse behind. She's in an abusive
it's
family.
abuse.
That's why it's
Absolutely.
always going to resonate. It's
Exactly.
yep. I have a whole dissertation on this. I'll have to review my own
Yeah.
work and like repackage it. Thump.
Yeah. And
Yes.
funny enough, the prince, the man in the story, has his own little thing going on for himself.
Yes, he
Because
does.
it's always this man that you think, oh my God, he has his life so put together. Look at all the glow and the lush, and everything's perfection. And it's always this man struggling with his own identity, always struggling with what do I want in life, and it's his own little thing that we kind of always we can overlook in
Right.
in
He's
in
having
people in
his
men in
own
general.
coming of age
It is
narrative where he
absolutely.
has to grow up. He has to mature, and that's how he can line up with her. And how it always looks like, oh, sure, she's just getting a man and some marriage. What that actually meant was, it's a contract one, so you're leveling up in business. Okay, but
Okay.
also, in addition to like you're leveling up in business, you're leveling up with a partner, you're also, excuse me,
Yeah.
you're also finding this newer, more mature version of yourself. So they each have to grow up to get there at that point. So that's what's great about Cinderella is you have all of these narratives going on. You can have it in all these different settings. As we see, there are so many different renditions. I could talk about this for ages. In fact, we'll have to do, maybe that'll be our New Year's, which is
Yeah, a little
Cinderella
Cinderella one.
magic.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm here for it. And we should sign off for now. We'll come back on for our little Christmas special if we can. A little sip of
Yes.
cookie dough, do a rewatch. Season one. Maybe we'll just rewatch the first episode. That's fine.
Yeah, but we would love to do that. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Danielle, again. for a
Oh,
beautiful Christmas time special.
Melanie, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for joining me. I think I want to leave us off on a question. Now
Yes,
that
please.
Penelope is out as Lady Whistledown, how do we think she is going to thrive in this upcoming season? Because I anticipate she's going to still exist. She's the most profitable business that they have in Regency England right now.
Oh, so how that's going to work and how's
Right, because
the
she
story?
still comes into play when it comes to Sophie's narrative.
She
Now they'll
does.
just be in a different way. All right, everyone ruminate on that.
Stay
Ruminate.
on that one.
See you guys next time.
Yeah,
The 12
Merry
days of Christmas are
Christmas.
coming. La 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 la. Bye.